I was manhandled on the dance floor yesterday, and that is not an experience that anybody should have to have. It is commonplace. I'm not alone in this experience. I've got a very good sense of boundary and spatial awareness, and usually I can clock these things before they happen, but sometimes things slip through and people get in your space, and before you know it, you're in a situation where somebody has crossed the threshold of your boundary and they have violated it. And this is never okay. And I'm sharing this because I know, believe, and understand other women who experience this on a daily basis, but in cultural spaces, in social spaces, in places where the whole purpose of you going to an event is to actually relax, hopefully get to a point where you can actually let your guard down and enjoy yourself and dance and have fun and have a good time. If you meet people, that's a bonus, but we all have different motivations for going out to social events, and it is a shared space and people do behave differently. But I'm very much of the belief that you need to be aware of your own energy, be responsible for your own energy, mind yourself, check yourself. And if you're ever in a situation where you're kind of questioning whether or not you are in somebody's space, like that is your first indication. So as a woman navigating spaces like that, you are always on your guard anyway, and it's exhausting. It is exhausting, but it's necessary. And the good thing about going to spaces where there's actually a sense of community and camaraderie is where you can clock other people that feel like peers, that feel like allies, that feel like supportive individuals, that feel like, oh, this nervous system is safe, this person is approachable, I feel comfortable here. And like trusting your instinct on that and actually moving if you need to move. Like I used to absolutely stand my ground if I had found a spot and be in experiences of trying to tolerate being around predatory behaviour to see how long I could endure being in that space. And I don't do that now. Like I'm like, okay, the atmosphere has changed in this spot, the vibe is suddenly off, or I now don't feel comfortable because somebody's invading my space. So what do? I move. It's like a completely different strategy. But the thing is, when you are actually minding your own and you are in the zone and you're focused and you're not actually actively trying to socially engage with anyone, and somebody comes into your bubble and makes advances, and not just makes advances but actually puts themselves on you and actually makes contact with your body in a way that is unacceptable, not okay. And like the fact that you are then policing yourself and policing your own behaviour to actually mediate your response to that so that you don't put yourself at risk or anybody else at risk, because the natural and instinctive response to that would be to like knock somebody out, but that is like not a way that I want to conduct myself in a public space. It doesn't mean that I don't feel that way when something like that happens, or it kind of touches on other triggers, of previous boundary violations, more serious boundary violations. But that's it. I think that's the sticking point for me, or the takeaway for me from that is like, okay, yeah, I can control my responses and I can actually take that on the chin, if you like, but women shouldn't have to be in a position where we have to do that just because somebody else has absolutely no sense of boundary or no sense of control, or has a sense of entitlement that they feel that it's okay to force themselves on someone else's body just because they take a fancy to that in the moment. Like, that is never going to be okay. And I feel like it's important to call that out and mention it in light of all of the current things that are unfolding, and yeah, just to name it, and also to say, if this has happened to you, I just want to acknowledge that and just say, to validate that as well, and say, you know, it's not okay. We shouldn't have to take it on the chin, and we can do something about it, but we need to keep talking about it, and we need to actually be more willing to be vocal. And it's taken me a long time to get to this point of being like, it's not even brazen, but just like fed up enough to be like, okay, enough is enough. Because I've navigated dance floor spaces for years with this kind of energy of like, I need to go out and hold my own space and to like defend and protect my space, and look after my body and mind myself and watch myself. And it's like an uphill struggle sometimes. And, you know, certain atmospheres, certain environments, certain venues, there are all these nuances and layers of kind of like social undercurrents and things feeding into dynamics and why things are the way that they are, you know. And some nights maybe feel a bit more like weird than others in that respect, but yeah, in places where generally the atmosphere is good and the vibe is good, stuff like that sticks out a mile. And it kind of, it totally changes the course of your evening when something like that happens, because any layers that you've been taken off in terms of your kind of shedding the armor, I'm gonna say, that suddenly all comes back online when something like that happens. And also that we need to then find a creative outlet to be able to channel the anger in response to that, because anger is a completely normal and healthy response to someone touching you in a way that is inappropriate, and unwanted. So that's the bit that I'm like, okay, there is like the cultivation piece, because when you sit with that energy inside of you that isn't meant for you, it is a destructive emotion, if it doesn't have an appropriate outlet. So yeah, talking about it is one way to kind of diffuse that energy slightly. But yeah, this is my contribution to the conversation about sexual harassment in public spaces, in cultural spaces, in music spaces, in like every space that we are navigating on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, it's just exhausting. It really is. And that's my piece, and I've said it now. So sending love to anyone that is also had an experience like this. It's shite. Yeah, take it easy, stay safe, everyone.